Capitol Hill to join the lawmaker, get the views of a lawmaker who will have a vote on this issue and also has great experience on this issue. Joe Sestak is a Democratic congressman from Pennsylvania. He's the Democratic Senate nominee in that state, running for the seat currently held by Arlen Specter, and he is the highest-ranking former military official, a former admiral, to serve in the United States Congress. Congressman Sestak, let's start there. The compromise would essentially, you would go on the record repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell now, but it would give the defense secretary time to implement the policy and apparently a little bit of wiggle room if the feedback from the troops in the survey underway causes him some concerns about housing or some other issues. Is it acceptable to you?
Actually, it's not. I mean, I feel very strongly that what Admiral Mullen said really struck home. We're actually asking people to live a lie. And we're asking them to live a lie in an institution that prides itself on integrity. In my 31 years in the U.S. military, I watched this turn on a dime when we were struck, for example, at 9/11. And we could immediately implement the wonderful men and women of this nation and place them in harm's way. There's not a question in my mind that we could do the same now. This may be one of shared compromise or a principled compromise, but I honestly think it's taking too long to get to the principle that everyone's created equal. I went to war, and we knew via public surveys that a certain percentage of those members of my carrier battle group, aircraft carrier battle group, were gay. How can you even think of coming home and say they don't have equal rights? I understand the great respect that people have, as I do, for Secretary Gates, but we can do this much more rapidly.
So then would you vote no if this was the compromise? If your leadership told you, Joe, this is the only way to get the votes, the conservative Democrats will not accept a faster plan, would you vote no on principle, or would you give in to such a compromise?
I'll give in to this shared compromise, probably, as long as there is something which I haven't found out yet that we aren't. And I asked Secretary Gates this, literally, during a hearing 2 months ago. We aren't discharging in the meantime those who somehow say I'm gay. I'd like to see that held to where we place that in abeyance somehow.
Congressman, I want to clear up once and for all a controversy that has dogged you a little bit. You said some time ago that when Arlen Specter was still in the race, early in the primary, somebody at the White House came to you and said, I will offer you a job, we'll give you some kind of a job if you would get out. I talked to David Axelrod earlier today. He said White House lawyers have assured that all these conversations were appropriate. What specifically did they offer you, sir?
Well, I was actually asked by a reporter something that a few months ago that had happened almost 8 months earlier.
Right.
And I answered it honestly.
You answered it honestly, and you said they offered you a job.
I said, you know, and I did answer it honestly and said yes, because I felt, as you asked me about my naval experience, that I have a personal accountability I should have for my role in a matter, which I talked about. Beyond that, I'll let others talk about their role.
Sir, I need to ask you about this. I need to ask you about this. You mentioned your military experience, and you cast yourself, and I don't question, as a man of great integrity. The American people, as you know, don't trust politicians. They don't trust this town. If somebody was playing politics as usual, or possibly breaking the law, sir, trying to induce you to leave a political campaign with a federal appointment, that could possibly be breaking the law. We're trying to get just the basics of who said what and offered what.
Yes, sir, and I'll let others speak for themselves.
You're the only one who knows, sir. There's you and someone at the White House involved in these conversations. You're one of the parties who knows.
Someone, as I said, was asked. I answered the question, and I did, forthrightly, for my personal accountability in that matter.
So what is the harm? What is the harm of you saying, this is the person who called me, and this is what they offered me, so that we can go to that person and get the other end of the conversation?
I'll tell you what the harm actually appears to be. You and I should be talking right now about how people were slammed in this economy, John.
I would love to talk about those things, sir. We have talked about them in the past, and I hope we will talk about them in the future of this campaign. And we have talked about them in the past, but this is a question about the public trust in institutions. You want to move to the United States Senate. You want to put your hand on the Bible and take an oath. When people look at this town, they don't like the shenanigans. And I'm simply asking you, who offered you a job to say get out of the race?
Yes, sir. And I've said all I'm going to say on the matter, and I have great respect for you. But others need to explain whatever their role might be. I did explain with integrity my role. But thank you very much.
All right, Congressman, we'll keep trying to get that answer. If you change your mind, we'll be here to take your phone call, I promise you.
Yes, sir. And I'm sorry to rush. I have a vote. Literally, time just ran, but they give an extra minute. And, John, thank you very much.
Cast your vote, sir. We'll talk again in the days ahead. I appreciate it very much. A lot more to digest tonight. The politics of oil.